Hi, my name is Dub Leffler. I'm from the Bigambul Nation of southwest Queensland, and I am an author and illustrator. And I work in schools all around Australia. I wrote a little book called the Croydon Park Cooking Club, and it's about a girl named Akala, and she lives in this little suburb called Croydon Park, and her father is French Australian and her mother is Aboriginal. And she's part of an after-school program called the Croydon Park Cooking Club. So all the kids in the suburbs, they get together and they get taught basic cooking skills by a teacher called Mr. Aziz. And at the end of this cooking course, all the kids have to make a cake or some dessert that is reflective of their background and who they are. And this is something that Akala struggles with a little bit. And so you've got to read the story to find out whether the cake deflates or it rises to the occasion. Well, I used to live in Croydon Park. It is a suburb in Sydney. And I also used to be a cook. I was a cook for 7 years at a famous hostel called the Tony Mundine Hostel in Sydney. And I lived, when I was living in Croydon Park, because there's lots of different nationalities in Croydon Park, and it's a cool little community. And they've got a really cool, well, they did when I was there, they had this really cool cake shop just down the road on the main strip, on the main street. And yeah, I just remember going in there and I mean, it was really dangerous going in there because they had great cakes in there. You didn't know what to grab. And you would see different families in there with the kids. And I always just started being a writer. You're constantly just writing as you're walking around and observing things. And I just sort of wondered, it'd be amazing if they did cooking lessons and being a cook myself, but never working in a cake shop, I wondered what it must be like out the back, what they do. So that really inspired me. And because there actually is just up the road, actually there is Croydon Park Public, I think. And yeah, so we just wondered, you would just put those two things together and go, oh, that'd be a really cool way to explore all the different nationalities that live there. And so that was the impetus for the story. Yeah. Well, food is a linchpin of every, it's a cornerstone of every culture. And it not only shows what the culture is at that moment, there's also lineage, wrapped up in all the food, and whether it's, influences from other countries. And so you can see, history on a plate. And because people take that with them, they take it to different places, and so that culture is always sort of spreading. The dishes are growing and they're also evolving. Mm-hmm. And I just, I thought that would be really cool. I love writing in metaphor, and just thinking, well, we're all made up of all different ingredients, and we are a big melting pot. And I just thought that would be, it's something that you can explore notions of identity, and because sometimes identity is fluid and it grows as we grow, and this idea about fixed identities. I mean, things can always be, so it's like cakes, cakes will start, you've got a basic recipe, but then there's just always, someone will add something else. And, over time it becomes, there is it's like it's a different dish entirely, but it's the roots of that recipe. That it's important to always remember those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of layers, just like a cake. The end goal is so it's just normalised. Aboriginal culture is Australian culture, whether people, accept it or not. And when it's just, it's just, I live by, to keep it culture, you've got to give it away. So if somebody just takes, one word and then they use it in their vernacular, like it spreads, or they take a dish or, a certain way of doing something that it keeps everything alive. And it also goes into creating, adding to this national identity. And where it's just like, yep, it's as normal as the Holden Tirana. Like Tirana being an Aboriginal word meaning to fly. So that's why it's important. So you can have them all through the classroom, and it's just normal reading them. The characters or the setting or the language just happens to be Indigenous. So it's, you don't have to bash anybody's head with it. It's just there, So it's normalised, and that's the key. Yeah. Well, my advice is it's okay to be wrong, and it is okay to make mistakes. And mistakes are actually, a mistake is an opportunity to learn. Not everyone has all the answers, and this is something that you can put forward in a classroom to kids. Actually, I don't know this particular part of, and you can tie things back to where the school is, to the local area. Let's find out, 3 words, 3 local words, or let's find out 3 of the mobs around here. Let's find out family names, things like that. And so it's that advice, and and having the courage to be wrong, and getting in touch with local community, and teachers would know this if they don't know the answers. It's okay to be wrong and ask questions. That's the key, particularly when it comes to pronouncing words and when certain words are used, and also as a thing to remember is that because a lot of culture has been taken away, has been diminished. So there is, there's ground that's been made up, and that I think that is something that should be set at the forefront, particularly in the classroom. Well, there's a lot of language that's died out, or a lot of culture that's no longer practiced here in these places, and the aim is just to find out what still exists, but just acknowledging that up front, and realising that it's okay to make mistakes, because that's how we're going to learn. Yeah, there was a great talk. Sir Ken Richardson. It's probably one of the most watched TED Talks, and he he just talked about this notion that kids, you know, he said, you know, he goes, oh, they're running, it was the nativity play. He goes, you might have heard of it, this little play, story. And, you know, so these three kids were playing the wise men, three wise men, and one turned up and said, you know, I bring you gold. And the second one said, I bring you myrrh. And the third one said, Frank said this. So, right. So if they, you know, it proves that even if kids don't know, they'll still have a go. I think it's just, you know, it's important that we can write about our own identity, because a lot of people from outside Aboriginal circles, you know, yeah, not everybody, but there are some people that will not, they have a definition, their own definition of what Aboriginal culture is and what Aboriginal people are. And I think it's really important that we actually take the helm and just say, and we decide who we are. Otherwise, you know, because you know, people wouldn't like us saying, well, we're going to decide who's Australian or who's English. You know, that's not up to us. So you can't do the same thing. And, you know, we can, you know, and that's, like I say this to kids, you normalise it. So this thing called shadow learning, where you have fun, but you're actually teaching, and you walk away learning something in the process of having fun. And so it's just like, oh yeah, you know, you'll take all these things on it. And because we can, you know, we can be James Bond. You know, we can be scientists and go to the moon. We can do all these things. You know, in some ways, we're just like everybody else, and it's good to highlight those things, the similarities and the differences.